All right, so now I've got 30 meshes tied, and I decided that I'm gonna show you how to increase your mesh count as you go up. So I've tied 30 meshes. There's 60, actually 59 knots right now from the time that I started until the time that we get here. There's 59 knots to make, 59 meshes overall. Each one of these diamonds is a mesh. Our mesh count for a hook net is this is 2 runs of mesh. This is 1 run, and this is 1 run. If you look at diamonds, it's diamonds stacked on diamonds. So the top of each one of these loops, that's a mesh. I'm going 30 meshes, and then as I increase my meshes, I'm going to eventually get to 48 meshes, which is where I want my overall mesh count to be. To calculate how many meshes you want, most of the time, if you're tying webbing and you're starting with an already tied sheet of webbing, you can figure if you've got the diameter of a hoop that you're going around, you're tying around a ring, your diameter, you take that times pi to get the circumference of your hoop, and then you divide that by the width of your mesh board. So that way your diamonds will hang more open in the length of the net, so that way it'll hang better in the water. If you're tying by hand, you can get by with fewer meshes. So I'm tying 48 meshes because I know it'll tie out right and it'll be okay. So we're here now, we've got our width, or we've got our overall mesh count for our diameter together. Now we're ready to stitch the 2 ends together to make a circle and start webbing. So I've got this other shuttle here that's got some number 21 twine on it, and I want to go, this is where we started, I want to go in through the top and under, and come out, and go in through the top, through the whole thing. And it's going to start bunching up as we come through, and that's okay. And if you don't, this will keep all the meshes in line. If you don't stick with one pattern, you can go under a knot, over a knot, under a knot, but that'll like wrinkle your meshes up. And if I can tie it like that, and it's faster to go through it because you don't have to be so careful. But I know how to make heads or tails whenever a mesh goes to trying to curl, and I can straighten it out. For someone who's just starting, it's kind of difficult. And I, more than once, had to back up and start over because I got lost of where everything was at. Now this string that I'm putting through here, that is what we will loop off, and we will hang this string. This needs to be a good sturdy string because all the pressure that we're going to put through this mesh to tie this net is going to hang on this string. So you want a good sturdy piece of string. If you don't have extra pieces of rope, don't go out and buy a whole pound of something that you're not going to intend to use, or that you're not going to have any use for. Number 9 would be fine, just double it over. And we're getting to the end here. You saw how I had this all laid out nice and pretty? That helps to make sure that all your mesh is laying flat. Take time in the beginning, get everything straightened out, and do it right. Now, this mesh is going to be the last mesh that I'm going to have tied through the top. So I've got all these tied through the top, so now it's easier for me to sort through and tell which one's which. So I'm going to come the same way through the top. I'm going to bring up, I'm just going to pull it all up, gather it all up. I've got way too much string out here, so I'm going to bring back, I'm going to tie it off, about here. Just a square knot will do. Shuttle through there. Just a regular old square knot. And we've got it all gathered up. Now, we go back to this mesh, and we have our first mesh. And now we have a circle in what would be, see, these meshes should tie together, I think. See how easy this is to get confused? Okay, yeah, these two should tie together with one mesh right here. So, I want to tie one mesh between these. So I'm going to take this over here. See, I've got my start and my finish. And you would, again, hang this on a doorpost, makes it a lot easier. But I'm not, because I'm trying to do a video. I want to make sure that we've got everything all squared up. It gets kind of, this is really the hardest part of making this net. So we're going to take our mesh board, we're going to go over and under, and now we're going to tie in, not on our grooves, but see, we're coming knot to knot. So I'm going to add one mesh right here. So I'm going to go up to this knot, I'm going to come under this knot right here, because this is our last one that we gathered up. This is actually where we started. So this square knot that you tied that's got this tag end, that's where you're going to finish this row of meshes. And it looks really awkward, but it'll straighten itself out. So tie that. I've got too much rope out, too much string. So we want to tie this down. And I wound up left-handed here, which is fine. Remember, you want to go under 2, under 1, it didn't want to split there. Sometimes it gets difficult. And now you see what happened here is my loop has gone under my mesh board. Right here, whenever I pulled that down, you have to watch for that, and if that happens, just pick it up over there. It's fine. And then pull it down. The knot popped, and now we have a full circle of meshes. All of our meshes are connected, and these two will be just fine. So we go to our next run of meshes. This looks really, really awkward, and it's kind of hard to tell anything about it because it's just a big old ball of string. It looks like a spider web, and I'm mad at that. But I'll try to straighten it out here to where you can see. We have our, well, this isn't working very well at all. Okay, here we are. Now you can see this was our starting end and this was our finishing end. This was the bottom of our meshes, and it's just like these were tied here. And this doesn't have to get tied, but it's just like if we had a knot right here tying these two together, where they started and finished, we would have a complete pattern through this webbing. So that's what you want, and you don't have to tie these together. So now what we're going to do is we're going to burn the string off right here where this knot is, and we're going to burn this tag end off, and then we'll drop down and tie in somewhere else on the other side of this mesh. And that'll be the next video.